This is another episode of the Blossom Podcast, your number one source for everything bariatric surgery, from pre-op to post-op. Registered Dietitian Alex Conception gives you real, raw tips and motivation through your journey. This is the Blossom Podcast.
Hello guys, welcome back. Today we are reintroducing the podcast, and it is now called the Blossom Podcast, sponsored by The Right Life. So this is the first episode of the Blossom Podcast by Registered Dietitian Alex Conception. That is me, and today we are with Catherine Kyle, my colleague, friend, and marketing director of Blossom Bariatrics. What's up?
Happy to be here, my friend. I mean, it's so cool to see you in a different element, and I know that this has been a goal of yours for so long, so it's exciting to see it actually come to fruition.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for being here with me, and I believe Catherine, if she enjoys it, if she likes it, will be on a lot more regular, and hopefully interviewing some other guests, because she's awesome. She is awesome. We're going to dive into my story and her story, just so you can get to know us a little bit better. But just as a reminder, Blossom Podcast, and this is a bariatric surgery podcast, lifestyle, nutrition, exercise, and everything related to bariatric surgery. But where do we start?
Well, I'll tell you where I want to start. I think we want to talk about the purpose of this podcast and why you wanted to do it. And I think for me, there a lot of opportunity, obviously, but I think the big thing is there's a lot of information out there, a ton of information out there from, podcasts, from YouTube, from videos. I mean, I love how you have said before, it's infobesity, right? There's just so much info out there. But I think for us, what we want to really do is show the audience that we're real people, that we have a personality, that we have a lot of information, but we want to have a good time doing it so we can entertain people and have a platform to, teach what we teach at Blossom, just on a different type of platform. But, like you said, invite some folks on, talk about, some things that might not be appropriate to talk about inside the clinic.
Exactly.
And really just showcase what a bariatric lifestyle is all about.
I love it. And yes, we will be having some people on just to give you an insight for those who've had surgery, for those who have not had surgery, and all the questions that are out there. Infobesity, that's what I call it. Infobesity. There's so much information out there and we have so many questions, but there's so many answers that are contradictory to each other.
Definitely.
And we don't know what to follow, because there are evidence-based for one scenario and evidence-based for the complete opposite of the same scenario.
And then there's also just personal experience, and something that works for one person might not necessarily work for the other person. Exactly. And you could drive yourself crazy. You have so much info and you're like, well, what's true? What's factual? I don't know. And a lot of it seems to be, from what we've seen, is essentially trial and error, and learning what works with your own body. But, how long have you been with Blossom now, Alex?
I've been with Blossom for going on 2 years.
Wow.
Going on 2 years. And it's been fantastic. I love Blossom. It was my first experience with pretty much in clinical, because I've been in weight management. I've been in weight management through lifestyle change and nutrition for over 10 years. Over 10 years, I've helped a lot of people, hundreds of people, when it comes to lifestyle, when it comes to chronic illness related to weight and lifestyle. We're talking about diabetes, heart disease, everything, all of the comorbidities that are present with bariatric surgery.
And now when you worked with these folks before Blossom, these were not bariatric patients or what we consider morbidly obese patients. Am I right?
Yes and no.
Sometimes?
Sometimes the population that I catered to were being a dietitian, being a registered dietitian. It is a door that's opened up for for that population because I can legally, and also it's a credential that I have that supports my knowledge about being able to at least help to help in that regard. So yes, that with the chronic illness and extremely overweight, but then also the opposite with fitness and bodybuilding and performance when it comes to boxing, sports, and basketball, things like that. Fighting, mostly on the nutrition side, of course.
Did you ever, did you seek out bariatrics, or it kind of just came, one of those things that comes across your desk and you're like, well, this would be interesting? I mean, did you ever envision yourself working with these types of folks where, I mean, listen, you are a very fit person yourself, and I know that that's a passion of yours as well. And I know sometimes, for our patients, they might look at you and say, well, what does this guy know about suffering from obesity, or what does he get? Does he get it? So tell me about that. Did you envision this as your path?
I had no idea that I was going to get into bariatric surgery in the clinical setting, and nutrition and lifestyle intervention related to bariatric surgery. It was not even a thought when I was even in college. It wasn't a thought when I was did my graduate program and my internship. It was always about starting my own practice and becoming a bodybuilder. So if that makes any sense, that's where it all started, was trying to achieve the perfect body and not work for somebody. So that is, and then
allowing or helping others to achieve that perfect body as well.
Absolutely. So I wanted to be able to go down that path, experience it, and that's something that you'll realize about me as well, is everything that I preach and everything that I talk about, I do my very best to try myself.
Yes.
When it comes, and a perfect example is going vegan.
Right.
Okay. Not that I'm vegan right now.
That was tough for you, brother, wasn't
exactly.
it? Like, you need that. You need the meats, my friend.
Exactly. So when it comes to that, there's so many people that are newly onset vegetarian, plant-based, and have questions. And I know the textbook of it. And I see the struggles that people have. I want to experience those same struggles. And same thing goes with and going through those same struggles actually makes me a better counselor, allowing me to experience everything that you have on a personal level, knowing that, okay, you can try this or try that, or mentally prepare in this way or that way.
Absolutely.
And because even now, tying it back to bariatric surgery, the pre-op diet is very hard.
It is.
It's very difficult.
Oh, it is.
And for a lot of people, they would ask, hey, why do I need to do this? If I could do this, I wouldn't even need surgery.
Right.
Exactly. That's not the case. But being able to go through it and also tailor the pre-op diet to a realistic scenario is just beneficial for everybody, because not to bash any other clinic, but I know of pre-op diets that are extremely invasive. That
a 2-week all liquid pre-op
not
diet,
even just
super
2
common.
weeks. It's like even 4 weeks of going through that. And my question to those dietitians and those clinicians are, can you do that?
Right.
And
I gotta tell you, I tried to do that for 3 days leading up to a colonoscopy, and I gotta tell you, bro, it just was like, I thought, I don't know if I could do this. I'm going to cancel my procedure. So I understand it's a challenge, and that is something that I love about you, is that, you do practice what you preach. So even if someone comes in and judges you, something that we don't want anyone to do is judge you on the way you look, whether you're obese or extremely fit. That's the thing, is someone looks at you and has this preconceived notion, like, well, what does this guy know? But it's like, I get it. I understand. I've done the pre-op diet. Yes, our bodies are different. Our metabolisms are different. Our lifestyle and what has led us to this point is different.
Exactly.
But the fact that you can actually do it yourself, I mean, that's huge.
And I get that question all the time too. Well, not all the time, but I do get that question of, oh, have you had the surgery? And I can see the wheels turning in their head, but we win them over in their success.
Sure.
In
exactly.
their success.
Exactly.
But yeah, going back to me getting into bariatric was actually a funny story. I don't know if it's that funny, but we went
Try me.
So I had a client. So I also on top of weight management through nutrition and lifestyle, I was also a personal trainer. Okay, so being able to apply what I know with exercise and the gym and lifting weights is very passionate for me, because when you compete on the stage, I'm very particular as well. Actually, I'm particular with everything that I do.
Yes, you are.
So
OCD much?
Yes,
OCD
much. Exactly, and that's what I care about. So being able to apply that, they just go hand in hand. And one of my clients, she was or is a psychiatrist for the VA. Okay, and
tough.
I've gone through already so many I guess clients and patients, and always at the gym I got to a point where it stopped being fun and it became more work. So
meaning fun training them?
Yeah, meaning fun for myself in terms of me maintaining my passion for the gym and lifestyle and wanting to obtain that perfect body.
Sure.
Wasn't so important anymore, and it again, being in the gym turned into work, and I didn't like that, because after
because then you start you don't want to go, and you're just like, you've done your whole thing, you're dreading going to the gym,
exactly. So
and
it
then
got
you don't
to the
get a
point.
good workout, and it's like, what's the point of that?
And it's not that I didn't like going to the gym, it's my own lifts.
Sure.
That's the thing. It was not that I didn't like helping people and having them. That was the beauty of it, was getting people to where they need to be, where they want to be, and filling that gap from where they are to where they want to be. And except for myself. So you're in the gym for 10 hours or so to 12 hours, and at some point you have your moment where, okay, it's time for me to lift. It's time for me to get my workout in.
And then you're just gassed out.
Yeah,
man.
gassed out.
Yep.
That was it. I was like, man, F this. I don't want to. I'm going home.
Yeah.
I'll see you guys tomorrow.
Yeah.
And that's what it turned into. So with that client who was a psychiatrist, she said, okay, well, maybe you can. We're in need of clinicians right now. Why don't you come to the VA? I can set you up with an interview, and we can you can chat with them and see if you want to at least open up your day a little bit to relinquish a little bit of your time to do something else. That way you're not so burned out at the gym. I was like, okay, cool, let's do it. But being the VA military, there's a long process when it comes to that, and they were actually on a hiring freeze, although they needed, until they get their budget, which happened to have been in, I think, November, and or election or something. It was something along those lines.
Government stuff.
Government
Of
stuff.
course.
But until then, because I've been private practice and I've been self-employed since I became a registered dietitian, I've never had a resume. I never had X, Y, and Z as an employee, and that's what you need. So I took that time to just kind of prepare those, because I have
polish your professional image and put it on paper.
I have a grip of experience with people that I've worked with, companies that I've worked with, contract work, because I've even on top of just the personal clients that I have via personal training and bodybuilding, also with weight management on the chronic illness, also working with the military, well, through restaurant, and they being subcontracted to work with the military in the UAE and things like that for nutrition and the foods that they need, which is great. So I needed to organize that, put it on paper, and it'll be ready for the VA when they're ready. Because I didn't need a job, and it was just something.
Different opportunity.
Different opportunity. Definitely. Spread my wings and see what else is out there. So fast forward, I get a call from my client friend, and she says, "Hey, I'm sorry to keep you hanging, but I spoke to my supervisor, and they said because you don't have any clinical experience, you're probably not gonna get hired." I was like, okay, cool, fine. It was a cool idea, but in the meantime, through this process of getting my resume and all of that, I put it out on Indeed. So with that, they have their own marketing platform and follow-ups to where they shoot out a lot of stuff based off of my resume and based off of my things. And I came across bariatrics. I was like, oh, bariatrics. Okay, what is this? I know what it is, but like what
at that point?
Yeah,
like,
I was like, okay,
as a dietitian, what does that entail?
Yeah, or even what is this job? It's in Las Vegas, and it was very black and white. Actually, literally black and white, and there was no details. I don't even know what the company name was. It was that black and white, and that's your department. So
that's right. We do that for a reason.
Yes. And I was like, okay, cool. Bariatrics, that's weight management, exactly what I do. That is actually consultation is exactly what I do with dealing with those comorbidities and metabolic syndrome and diabetes and heart disease and all of that, and needing to manage that through lifestyle. And this is a tool that's going to help out. Yes, I feel like this is something I'd be interested, because I actually, through that process of Indeed, I got a ton of emails from hospitals, and I was just like, I don't think I want to do that.
Why is that? As far as working in a hospital setting,
it was the fact that it was so broad. There was not one thing I'd be dealing with. There's a million things I'd be dealing with. I'd be all over the place. Yeah. And that's what I didn't want to do. Sure. And also because when it comes to bariatric surgery, when it comes to what I do for a living prior to this and my business, I deal with people who want to be helped. That's the difference. In the hospital, they're there because of their situation,
and they have no choice.
Exactly.
Almost.
And that idea, not that I don't like to help people in that regard, because I do. It's just it can be taxing, and today I'm sure everybody in the hospital can attest to that to some degree. Sure. That a lot of people don't want to be helped. Yeah. They're there because they have to be, and somebody put them there, or their condition put them there. And even if I spoke to them, for example, newly onset, or somebody who just had a heart attack, and they need to talk to me, I can talk to them for an hour on what they need to do. But I can also tell you that a good percentage of them will still go to
they're going to leave there
or go to
they're
going to
leave there and do you think they're going to remember that conversation you had? Maybe it was meaningful to you, but not necessarily them. And that's exactly right, because they're there because they have to be. Yeah. And I know this too, because even like the newly onset diabetics would be in the hospital, and this is I'm talking about when I was in my graduate program and when I was doing my clinicals. I would see the same people for uncontrolled diabetes. It's like, dude, what the heck, man? I just spoke to you. Didn't we have this conversation? So there was zero willingness to make any type of change.
Exactly.
And it's hard to, then you feel like you're beating your head against the wall in a sense. And then you go home, it's like, well, what am I doing this for, Then that gives you that burnout where your passion is completely gone. Similar to what you said when you're getting burned out, in your personal training, working 10, 12 hours a day.
Yes.
And so lead me into, so you found us, you interviewed.
So it's funny because I filled out that blank form and I forgot about it. I actually didn't hear back, I think, for 2 or 3 months. It was a while.
Wow.
Yes, it was something that going into another route of dietetics kind of died down in my head.
Isn't it funny how stuff like that happens, where you're like, you get excited, you get jazzed up, the moment you forget about it, then it's like, hello, here we are. I was working, I was sitting in my office, and I get this call from an unknown number, and I pick it up, and it happens to be Blossom, and it's like, hey, you filled out a form. I was like, did I? You're like, who dis? Yeah, exactly. Who dis? What you want? And and it was basically Blossom saying, we saw your stuff, we saw your resume, and we'd like to talk to you. Are you open? Yeah, sure. I'm not doing anything tomorrow, you say? Okay, let's roll through. And it was funny because that was the moment I met you. That's that right. was the moment I met you. So Catherine interviewed me with the office manager also, and it was good. Tell me about your first impression of me. Tell me about me. Yeah. He says, let me hear more about what you thought about me. No, immediately, for us, we were in a position that we needed to find someone, and we had a couple of other interviews, and I feel like when I interview someone, it's about a 45 second to 2 minute where I go yay or nay. And, sometimes that's not necessarily good because, some people aren't the best in interviews and then they turn out to be one of your best employees ever. Or opposite, you have a hell of an interview with someone who just seems like they get it and then you get them onto the job and they just don't pan out.
Yeah.
So I think for me, the biggest thing was your willingness to learn. And something actually that I noticed about you back then and still now is your drive to continue to push the envelope in so many different areas. And then also the way that you are able to absorb things in a constructive way. So I think we saw all of that in the interview, and it was like, do you remember I walked out with you, bro?
Yeah,
I said, we're hiring, I gotta hire you, like you are it, like you fit in.
Yeah.
And so then I think, a couple days,
So actually I had a request right off the bat because I was getting married that weekend.
You're like, I'd love to start, however.
Yeah. However, I'm actually getting married in 2 days.
Yes.
I remember that. And then I had plans to be out of town for that week. So it was literally 1 week later that I
And we said,
started
we'll wait. We'll give you the offer letter and then let's jump in and just go nuts.
Yeah, no, that was really cool. And I love Blossom, and I love their structure to not over analyze and micromanage, but allow the freedom. Like you said, what you like about me is being able to push the envelope, and that is because you allow me to push the envelope.
And that's, I think, just a testament to the ownership. Dr. Umbach and his wife, and
absolutely.
And to be honest with you, it's almost like they prefer to allow the employees run the company, which is incredible because we have 30 plus people at the clinic now, and about that many over at the surgery center, and these are all full-time dedicated folks. And it is a testament to, you're right, it's not a micromanaging situation. We like to give people the freedom. It's like, if you have an idea, I don't care if you're a driver, if you answer the phones, if you're sitting at the front desk, or if you're part of the executive team, if you're a doctor, we want to hear it because we want everyone's advice, everyone's input. And I think that's what makes it such an incredible place to work at, but also why you fit in, because you're not the type of dude that I can put into a box and say,
do this.
Right, and that's exactly how it is at a hospital. So you're not the type of dude that you can just go say, here's what you do from 9 to 5, and that's it. There's no, creativity. There's no, And so I think, that's why I think you and everyone that works there fits into such a great.
I love it. And that also allowing me to develop from what you guys were already doing to what it is now. And that is because I wasn't bound by a textbook scenario. And we're able to make the patients so much happier, and I feel the ease through the entire process just makes it more seamless.
Absolutely.
And even the follow-up and the amount of support that they have is amazing. I've gone through other seminars and met other dietitians and clinicians that work at bariatric clinics all over the world, and it's different.
Well,
it's different.
It is different, and it's like sometimes, and I see the same thing. I always like to keep my ear on the ground of what other places, the clinics are doing, surgery centers are doing bariatric surgery, but then you see kind of what they're doing, and I hate to toot our own horn, but it's just like we're way ahead of that, and I think probably the biggest reason for that starts at the top, like I just said, with our owner, with the chief surgeon, Dr. Umbach, but it trickles down in a sense that he does not run the office, the clinic, and the surgery center like an office clinic or a surgery center. He looks at hospitality. He looks at travel. He looks at all types of other industries to say, how can I bring these different unique experiences to a medical office that does not feel sterile, uptight,
friendly,
right?
And you're and extremely welcoming,
right?
And also knowing value that you bring and the service that you bring to the care and the happiness that they would have by coming to Blossom, and that's amazing, and I love that, and I felt that right off the bat too. The funny thing is that because I have not worked for really anybody since even so you guys know, I've been with my now wife for 13 years, and we've been married Yeah, so almost going on 2 years because it was right before I got hired at Blossom.
Yeah.
And
she's great, by the way. How does
yeah.
she do it? I ask
don't
her
know.
all the time. I'm just like, Giselle, how?
Yeah.
Tell us. Go on.
How do you deal with this guy all the time?
Yeah.
So she, when I told her, hey, I got hired at this spot, I think it's going to be a really good opportunity here, and I think I can really grow. She was not. I didn't get the response that I was hoping for, and I thought because dietitians don't get that type of starting position. They and I would assume that it's because of my experience that I've built up with private practice and my own experiences with other companies that I've done on my own that kind of led to that. But to apply, to have an interview, and to get hired, I was like, yo, check this out. I got it. I think it's gonna be good. She was just kind of cool. I'm like,
cool,
I think you understand that, like, this is a really good opportunity here. And she's like, no, we'll see. She's like
cautiously optimistic.
Yeah, she's like, the thing is, I don't think you'll stay. That's what she told me.
Sure.
She said, never
because
worked
she's
for
seen the
anybody.
pattern. Yeah, you haven't worked for anyone. You like to be kind of independent and make your own rules, right?
Exactly. And I like to, I like to do my own thing. I like to make my own schedule, and I go by the struggle. If I need to pay the mortgage, I'm gonna step it up and figure it out and grow in that direction and try to see what I can do with my business to make sure that this doesn't happen again. And she's like, no, man, you're not gonna stay. You're okay. And I was like, well, we'll see. And here we go. We're going on 2 years.
Well, and back to exactly what you just said is that your personality isn't. I couldn't see at a hospital. Just to be honest with you, I really could not. And I feel like that you'd be doing a disservice to yourself and to that company, because the type of environment you need to be in is this a fluid, growing, change it up every type of day, and you do run your department for the most part as your own department.
Yeah.
And it's not like you're coming up with an idea and just rolling with it. It's like, I have this great idea. What do y'all think? And that's really how we do the entire business. It's a community effort. It's a collaboration of like a bunch of incredibly bright minds. And it really just, it blows my mind every single day to be
It blows my mind too, because I've seen other companies work and run. So another side story was also, I was a partner in a eyebrow threading salon. So being a partner in that side of things, to where I had to manage several stores, and then also doing the hiring and all of that, and how other owners run companies, and how they deal with employees, and how employees respond to management. It is never this positive and this happy, and people wanting to come to work and being able to maintain that all day, every day. And we even get that from the patients. Like, why is everybody so happy? Is there something in the air? It's like, no, that's just how we run things.
Blossom,
it's Blossom. Everything is cool. Everybody's happy because it starts at the top and it works its way down, and everybody is good with it's just treated well. I want to say, I've never seen a company have this kind of morale, because I've worked with people that have a very bad morale with their employees, and everybody just hates it.
That's the thing, man.
And
It starts at the top.
How is Blossom really different in that regard?
Well, I mean, I think it's a lot of kind of what we have said. I mean, you have a doctor who wants to run his business unlike a doctor's office. And, Blossom started in 2008, 2009, right after the recession, the economy crashed in 2008. And, Dr. Umbach and his wife Holly, she was an office manager and kind of the, extraordinaire, and did all of the stuff in the office, and had maybe one or two employees in a very small setting. And back then, his goal, I remember him telling me this, and I'll never forget this story, is Holly told the team that Doc said he would be excited if he did 4 cases a week. 4 cases a week, okay? That's, 16 or 20, whatever kind of month you're looking at, 20 cases a month. And that was his goal. And so
And that's considered a busy clinic, yeah?
Absolutely, yeah. And at that time, he was doing everything at the hospital, So before that, this was before Warm Springs Surgical Center, the outpatient ambulatory surgery center came into play. And so there's a lot of hospital politics, as like
Oh,
you said.
absolutely.
If you know
Absolutely.
anything about that, it's tough because it's kind of like a game. There's a lot of red tape. It's really hard to be an advocate for bariatric surgery because there's all these other specialties that are deemed more important, whether it's ortho or GI, any of this stuff that's deemed more important. So I think that the goal was to always put the patient first and to always hold their hand along the way, right? Because there's so many. First of all, there's a ton of places. There's a ton of bariatric surgeons that you can go to across the country, in Mexico, wherever. You can go get this done really anywhere. But I think the goal was, and still is, let's put the patient first. Let's look at this office, the personnel, the entire process, the surgery center. I mean, down to what it looks like to how you're handled from medical assistant, front desk, coordinator, nutrition, dietitian, surgeon. Let's work on the relationship between the patient and our staff, because that's the big deal about this thing. You are working with people who've been basically looked down upon their whole life, who have struggled with weight. Maybe they've struggled with weight for their entire life, right? From a very young age. Or maybe there's someone who, a tragedy happened, a trauma happened in their life in the past 5-10 years, and they put weight on later in life. We see both of those types of people.
Yeah.
But both of those types of people have just been treated bad by society, treated bad by doctors. And so I think the goal was, let's provide a safe place, but also an incredible experience that you're never going to forget, all while giving you this tool that you need for long-term success. Because we know, you've seen these people. How many diets have you tried on average? Anywhere from 5 to 10. I've done Weight Watchers, South Beach, Atkins.
Yeah, everything.
Whatever, gluten-free, this and that, keto, right? All these things that people have tried, and sure, yes, maybe they worked for a while. Maybe you even sustained the weight loss for a couple of years. But the issue there is that once you stop, and once you stop your routine, or you start adding some carbs back in, or your body's like, wait, hold on, what's going on? And you have that metabolic set point that I know that you talk about all the time.
Yeah.
Then you just go back to where you were, plus 50 pounds, plus 75 pounds. And that takes such an incredible toll on your mind frame.
Because it becomes so much easier to gain weight later
So much, yes.
And that is that. And if you hadn't had the surgery, if you hadn't had this tool, it relies 100%, well, in the 90th percent on will.
Sure.
And we have our breaking points when it comes to dieting. That is a problem. So what we try to do is, through this, teach you how to create that foundation, set that foundation for long-term success. Also, knowing that if you have a breaking point, if you have a melting point, it's okay.
Yeah.
You'll be able to get back on track. This tool's not going to allow you to go for very long, and that's where now the willpower turns from 90 some percent down to, let's say, 50 or 40%, to where now the tool is the majority of it, and you'd have to really willingly have to F it up.
That's the thing. But then also, you're right. You have to have some kind of like special interest to make it work, because you can sabotage anything.
Oh, absolutely.
Sabotaging something is so much easier than actually making it work.
Absolutely.
And really with anything. And there's so many misconceptions surrounding weight loss surgery in general. We'll save that for another podcast. But,
yes.
As far as people see my 600-pound life, and that's who they think gets weight loss surgery. Or I'm sure, if you're listening to this and you've had surgery or considering it, you tell someone, they say, oh, come on, you could do it without. Why would you? That's a cop-out. That's the easy way out. I could go on for 3 episodes about how that's just such a misconception.
Exactly. And everybody's different. Everybody's life is different. Everybody's lifestyle, whatever you've gone through, whatever you've tried, your trials and your errors, that you've done, it's going to lead you to where you need to be, and what you believe is going to make you happy and help you succeed.
Absolutely.
And that, hopefully, we will talk about that.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that in another episode.
You had actually brought something up earlier in the conversation, and I said this to you. I said, do you ever get it when somebody looks at you, just said, well, what the heck do you know about being obese, or about, surgery, all of that stuff. I get the same thing. I'm not obese. I really try to be careful about what I eat in my fitness, and that's a choice. But for me personally, I struggle with addiction. I've been clean off opiates for over 10 years.
Congratulations, that's awesome.
Thank you, man. It was a struggle. I was pretty heavily addicted and what I would consider to be a functioning addict for about 4 years. And, you know, I had to pull myself out of that. And, you know, even thinking back about it now, it was probably the hardest thing I've ever done. And that's why when I explain to people and they say, because they look at me and they say, well, you know, you're the marketing person for this company. Well, how do you know how to reach? How do you know what kind of struggles me as an obese individual has gone through? You know, really, I mean, there's been a handful of times where it's almost been borderline offensive, right? But I get it. And I say, listen, I understand. I'm not obese, but I understand the relationship between something that you cannot have any control over and yourself, right? You have that craving that's there deep, deep within, and the only thing that's going to satisfy it is whatever your vice is, okay?
Whatever the vice is,
and for me, obviously, it was opiates, heroin, and for the patients that we see, it's food. And I'm not saying that every single person that comes to our office is addicted to food, right?
Yeah.
But I would say most people at a level have a unhealthy relationship with food.
Absolutely.
And no relationship with fitness.
Yes. Yes.
Do you think that's fair to say?
Yeah,
and I'm not a doctor, right? I did not go to school for any of this stuff.
Yeah.
I'm just basing it simply on 4 years of seeing it, having these conversations, and really trying to understand it from an outside kind of addictive perspective.
Yeah, no, I get that 100%, and I think that is fair to say. I've had that, not to that degree where we had to pry, because I am a dietitian, and there's it's going to be a part of the program regardless. But yes, I look a certain way, and it can either be intimidating or it can be motivating, right? And I would just focus on what they need to do and what their issues and their barriers may be, because we all have gone through something in our life, and I was overweight when I was younger, and I'm actually genetically maybe not necessarily genetically gifted. It's that I've had to battle my genetics, because both sides of my family are overweight. Both sides of my family are overweight. There is we do have family history of heart disease and diabetes, and it was something that if I don't keep it under control, food wise, if I don't stay motivated, if I don't practice what I preach, I will balloon.
Yes.
I will balloon. So yes, genetically I'm able, and I feel like I've reached the potential that my genetics can allow, but it's also my genetics are the fighting against it as well.
And that's the thing I think too, that I really try to, just in my everyday life, but especially inside Blossom, this is a no judgment zone. We really try to make Blossom, the actual building of Blossom, but then outside of the walls of Blossom, be a judgment-free zone where we are all human beings. We are all with problems, with a heartbeat, with blood running through our veins.
Absolutely.
And it's I really try to not be as hard on people, because you don't know what has brought them to where they are now. And that's for me what makes it so exciting, is we meet so many incredible people from all over the country, all over the world. I mean, we've had a lot of international people come through too.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love it. And being able to maintain that relationship with them, and being able to have that one-on-one and hearing their problems. And then
afterwards, you say one thing to them, and then 3 weeks later they said, man, Alex, that thing you said to me, that really got me going, brother. Thank you so much. And it's like, wait, I didn't even realize. I was just saying what I feel, what I know works. And it's like, sometimes you say that one thing that the light bulb goes off for the patient. For the
That's
client.
one of the reasons why I want to do this podcast as well, is because there are so many people that we've helped, but then there are also so many other people that have the same questions and the same problems that can hear it too. Right. And that should hear it too. Right. Because the amount of questions that we get over and over with the struggles, it's all somewhat related. It's not that you're doing anything wrong or you're doing anything bad. It's either comparing yourself to somebody else, or being judged, or judging yourself, or opening up that Facebook
Sure.
or
having
Instagram.
expectations that are unrealistic, or
Exactly.
expectations that were given to you by other people that you don't even realize that's not my expectation, that's someone else's expectation.
Exactly. And that's what I want to address. That's who I'm speaking to, are the people who have those, and I know that there's a lot. Okay. And I think we can reach a lot of people in that regard and just discuss it, and hopefully the people who need to hear it will hear it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I'm excited to, continue and be able to, like we said in the beginning, offer info on a different platform, but more in more relaxed environment where, we can just have a chat.
Yeah, and when we have our interviews and we invite some of the people that we've helped and some of the patients, it doesn't have to be so formal. It doesn't have to be judgment free and
zone. That's it.
Curse away, I guess. I don't know. I don't know if
we
that's
got that edit button, just like that beep.
Right? Yeah, exactly. We can do that. I don't know if what are the regulations, honestly, if
not necessarily sure we're being regulated by the FCC, so I think we're good at this point, bro. Like, I think we're all right. We'll see. Hey, we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. So yeah, that's pretty much the gist of Blossom. This is just a little kickoff. This is a break in the ice. I haven't talked about Blossom leading up to now, and that is because we are now transitioning from the Right Life to the Blossom podcast, sponsored by Right Life.
Yeah, and thank you for bringing that up. I actually wanted to ask you as far as the Right Life, and I know the Right Life has been around for a long time. I mean, this is the name of your company that you use still. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes.
And so you basically use this company as your training, your meal plans, your
all of the weight management outside of bariatric surgery.
Absolutely. And so your goal was to bring in Right Life, kind of like a bariatric arm, if you will.
Exactly.
And tell me what your goal is for that, what your vision is for that, leading in the next several months and years.
So there are some things that I feel Blossom doesn't provide that it may not make sense. It may not make sense for them in terms of, because you go when you have surgery and you have post-op care, you have pre-op care, but there are also long-term scenarios. Even without it even being said, patients would probably be cautious about calling 2 years down the line saying, hey, you guys remember me? Do you even still, is it okay if we talk or chat? So being able to provide that extension, that arm for anybody who has fallen off, who needs that weight management again
and desires it, right?
Desires,
like, this is someone who you have to make sure is ready to be accountable, like you said, has maybe fallen off, or maybe not even fallen off. Maybe they feel like they haven't maximized their results, right?
Or they've gotten their surgery in a place that doesn't offer any care,
any support.
So that's a huge one, and we're talking about, for example, Mexico. If not that you'll have problems, or you will later on, or anything like that. It's just the fact that
is the procedure, and once you go home, then you're home, and it's almost like.
And if there is a problem, there's no care from Mexico.
Yeah.
So or any other country that may be providing that once you come back to the United States. So being able to provide that as well for the population who didn't have the proper care after surgery or long-term afterwards, in terms of getting the nutrition, getting the right protocol, or jumping on a program
it is a program. It'll essentially be a program, right?
It's going to be a program.
Because that's the thing I see so many people struggle. I mean, we give, as far as what we do at Blossom, we do give guidelines of what you should eat, but it's like protein, veggies, and you've done several videos and information on your macronutrients and things like that, but you're not saying, listen, Catherine, Monday I want you to eat this for breakfast, this for lunch, this for dinner, and then this is what you're going to be doing to move your body that day.
Or these are the exercises that I want you to do, or this is what we can do to set you up for success or get you back on track.
So this is a plan.
This is more of a plan, and also specific criteria that you can do. Essentially a course, and that's what the Right Life is going to be about for bariatrics outside of the patients of Blossom.
Yeah.
also with the patients of Blossom if they want it as well. And that's what I see moving forward in terms of the Right Life and the bariatric.
And I imagine that you'll be able to see, one thing that I loved about the Right Life, just outside of bariatrics, is this is not a one-size-fits-all type of situation, right? Like, you as Alex from the Right Life would be able to assess an individual based on their individual needs and based on their individual goals. It's not a one-size-fits-all package deal. Hey, I sent this out to 50 people this month. It's like...
Exactly. And I've actually had a handful of bariatric patients before I got to Blossom, and that is a concern for a lot of people, because when you're seeking out a trainer or somebody to help you or a coach, it's always different. It has to be different because you had surgery. And for a good majority of quote unquote trainers at the gym, or somebody who's just good at lifestyle, doesn't have the education or knowledge or evidence-based training that you would need to deal with when it comes to weight loss surgery. So that's what I'm bringing to the table, and that's what I want to address, is that there's a population of people that need somebody who knows and understands this side of weight loss.
Absolutely.
So being whether your goals are to step on stage or just to get a healthier lifestyle, understand what you need in terms of nutrition, or you want to lose a few pounds, or you had weight loss surgery and you need that the support that you can get from a trainer that also understands weight loss surgery. That's what I'm going to be providing for everybody.
I love that. And here's what's crazy, and something that I've really seen on these groups and in the bariatric community is, yes, you can tell someone, here's what you can eat and here's what you can't eat, but then they're like, wait a second, how do I make a meal out of that? Yes. And it's like incredibly daunting to them, because, or you consider someone who, their lifestyle, maybe they were working a lot, or maybe they're a truck driver, or maybe whatever it is, maybe they have a ton of kids at home, or they're working long hours, they get home and they're like, or they're on their way home and it's like, well, let me just stop at the drive-through.
And that's common.
And that's common. And it's like, and these people, what I've realized is a lot of these folks, and same for me, I struggle with thinking, well, what am I going to eat next? And sometimes it's boring. And it's like something that I heard from a postdoc client many years ago was, the biggest success and the way she felt was she finally was, what did she say? She eats to live. She doesn't live to eat. And it's sometimes, correct me if I'm wrong, you're going to eat something and it's not going to taste good. It's not for your taste buds. It's not to feel satisfaction from the food. It is literally to fuel your body.
Yes. And you can, there's a fine line between that. It's not that you're not going to have delicious food. Because I'm actually a foodie. Sure. I love food.
Yes, you are.
I love food. Yes, exactly. And I do my very best to try and create healthy alternatives for filthy food.
I love that.
And that's what I want to do.
Would people be able to get that through the Right Life?
Yes, absolutely. Being able to talk to me or have those concerns and those questions. Actually, today I spoke to a client today on her journey. We are incorporating some treat meals, I like to call it, just to keep that sanity on her journey as well, not having to go 100% restricted, but she's facing some serious health concerns that she needs to lose weight, but without having allowing that burnout feeling, allowing the treats, but those treats are really affecting her throughout the week. It's affecting her with the way that she feels, the bloatedness, the guilt.
Yeah, and it's mental as well.
It is. It's very, very much mental, and understanding what's going on physiologically and her body composition, and not letting that weight gain after the meal for the first few days really affect her, and understand that weekly there's going to be a net loss, but understand with that treat there's going to be a little bit of a gain, and that's because of the sodium and the other nutrients and the amount of water and what you're doing to your body that's going to trigger those changes. So it's about getting that mindset correct, but also with those cheats, I gave her some homework. I told her to list all the foods that she loves. If she were to think of just the craziest gluttonous day of what's that look like? If you were to plan out a week, if you were to plan out a year of treats,
year?
Yeah, let's say. Well, I mean, just throwing it out there. Well, write it down. Send me a list,
like?
and now based off of that, we're gonna try to create some healthier alternatives to those while maintaining that, getting that satisfaction from that flavor.
Yeah.
Without actually getting the calories and the garbage that you would get that's gonna negatively affect your body composition.
Because I think too, some people think when you're eating healthy, or when we say protein and veggies, it means like a slab of chicken with no salt or seasoning, and like
boiled
broccoli.
chicken and broccoli.
Like, no, we're not. That ain't it, man. That ain't it.
I can't.
So it's exciting to know that that there's a program that you're thinking about. I love what you said, that you're a foodie, and to be able to bring. How did you say, the filthy alternative? What did you say?
Yeah, creating healthy alternatives to filthy food.
I love that.
Yeah, so
and that's exciting, because then it's like, and then it's almost like once you teach someone all these elements, then they can then maybe experiment on their own and start thinking about ways.
And that's what I want. I want people to understand the criteria and use that as a foundation to create a lifestyle that's not going to be so daunting and so tedious. Because that's how I live my life. Yeah. And it started.
And not sustainable,
yeah,
right? Like you wouldn't be able to sustain chicken and broccoli for 5 days a week.
It's garbage. Till this day, I can't eat, I can't say this, but chicken breast is not my favorite food, because I ate it so much as a younger athlete, trying to achieve this certain goal that I thought was
You're
the
a red
way.
meat type of man. I know about that.
And even the dark meat chicken and things like that. But there's a proper way to do it. It's portion control. It's what you use to flavor. It's the seasonings and the lack of sauces, or using a sauce that you create.
Yes.
Because anything, and here's a takeaway, guys. Anything that you open from a jar is probably gonna be bad.
Ton of sugar.
It's gotta be shelf. That shelf life has to maintain somehow, and it's gonna be coming from preservatives and sugar, exactly. and a grip of sodium. So that is why being able to have something tasty doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be bad for you.
But we do live in that society where a lot of things are surrounded by food and gatherings and happiness, and we'll touch on that definitely in another episode.
Absolutely. There's so much when it comes to that, and actually I spoke on that when it comes to like the hunger hormone and the perceived hunger because of your mental state, your mindset, and then also the relationship with food, and also the routines that you have leading up to this, because let's remember, you have years and years of life prior to this surgery, and now in a very short amount of time a lot has changed. That does not change years and years of mental foundation and mental whenever you've learned habits, things like that. So that'll be fun to talk about. I look forward to the discussions that we have, actually.
Absolutely, man. This has been
unfiltered.
Awesome.
Yes. But yeah, other than that, this has just been a not so quick intro.
Yeah, you're going nuts.
Yeah, just talking. There's so much to say. And we'll definitely have Catherine back on, and she may be a regular depending on how busy her schedule is.
I would love it. That's the thing, Alex. I feel like there's a lot of opportunity and a lot for you and I to talk about that people would understand in a casual way.
And,
we'll have an opportunity at some point to get feedback from people and know what they want to hear, but I know that there is dozens upon dozens of topics that we can talk about that would be relative to people who have had surgery with us, people who have had surgery other places, or people who are considering it.
Yes, absolutely. And we'll get some hopefully the surgeon will come on. Maybe, I don't know if Dr. Umbach will come on, but
we'll see. We'll get there.
We'll try. Because I want to talk to him. I want to talk to him on the
Incredible
mic, and
man,
then
definitely.
just the most amazing person. He's like I said, not knowing a company that doesn't have the type of morale that we do, it just doesn't exist. It doesn't exist until at least I thought it did. It didn't exist until I came to Blossom, which is fantastic. And then hopefully we'll get some of the other surgeons and maybe some other specialties related to bariatric surgery when it comes to plastic surgery.
OBGYN, to talk about some of those incredibly crazy hormonal issues that you might have if you're obese, and then after, kind of what that looks like after surgery as well.
Yeah, absolutely. But I'm excited, and otherwise you guys stay tuned. If you like the show, please subscribe, hit that 5 stars, let other people know
tell your
that
friends.
how well. If you found us by searching, it will allow other people to find us by searching as well. So, like us or not, shoot us something. We love you guys. Thank you so much, and we'll talk to you in the next. Peace.
This was another episode of the Blossom Podcast. For more motivation and future episodes with Alex, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on any life-changing moments.